Klay Thompson contributed on the defensive side of the floor, but offensively, he was 0 of 7 from beyond the arc and 6 of 20 shooting last night. Draymond Green was very good defensively, had 11 rebounds, huge block down the stretch, but only 2 points last night. Jordan Poole, who's been instant offense, either starting or off the bench, finished 4 of 12 shooting. Offensively, that Warriors effort was as ugly as it has been the entire playoffs. And yet, Steph happened. And when they needed buckets down the stretch, he either got to the hoop and scored or got to the free throw line and knocked down most of his free throws, going 8 of 9 from the stripe. And his 32 points were everything. And it was one of those games where you just see in real time a squad that doesn't quite know how to finish, especially without its superstar, and a team that has finished so many times that somebody's going to step up to do it. You just know it. They just have that DNA. They have that muscle memory. You just knew late in this game, here it comes, and you can't stop it. The Grizzlies are building. The Grizzlies are youthful. The Grizzlies are hungry, and I give them tons of credit for even being the 2 seed out west, playing so well without Ja Morant this year, getting through a tough first-round series against the Wolves, and really making the Warriors work for it. None of these wins have been really that easy. Even a 20-point victory the other night, that was a nip-and-tuck game through the third quarter, at least through the first half. They've made them work. They really have. They've made them work. But at the end of this game last night, you saw a team and a player that's been in so many of these spots. They just knew how to make the extra play. There's the extra stop, the extra pass, the extra play. And the Warriors made like 6 of those down the stretch. And the Grizzlies didn't. It was the block. It was the block out on the rebound that ended up being a foul. It was the free throws. It was the shots. There's like 5 or 6 moments down the stretch where they're 50-50 moments, and either the shot goes in or it doesn't. The rebound comes down to the Grizzlies or the Warriors. The foul is called in either Golden State or Memphis, and basically the Warriors have to go 5-0 or 6-0 in that spot. And they did. They made every play. The Grizzlies didn't. So give Memphis credit. Without Morant last night, they were obviously shortchanged, but they fought and they battled and they come up a little bit short. The Steph part of this equation is the most fascinating part of the equation. Because the simple fact of the matter is, since Klay Thompson's come back from his injury, he has not been Klay Thompson. There weren't moments where he would go 6 of 20 and 0 for 7 before the injury. There hasn't been long stretches where he just seemed like his accuracy was totally off before the injury. Draymond is still effective. He still runs the outlet well. He still passes well. He still is going to be tenacious on the boards. But he's also not at the peak of his powers like he was 5 or 6 years ago. Jordan Poole clearly has helped supplant and support the lack of offense maybe other places, and Poole's been a phenomenal find. Last night they needed Otto Porter Jr. to step up and hit big shots. And credit Porter for doing so, but you're not going to count on that either. Last night was Steph being a legend. That when he needed to be, and they needed him to be, he made every play down the stretch. You just put the ball in his hands and say, you got to get to the free throw line or hit this shot. You have to. Or else we lose and it's 2-2 going back to Memphis. I thought last night It was not a flip of the script in the series because I just don't think the Grizzlies have enough firepower to have beaten the Warriors 4 times. Even had this gone 2-2 last night, I still did not see a way that the Grizzlies could win 2 of the next 3. And now down 3-1, the series is basically over. What I do wonder is, can Steph conjure that enough to win a title? Because all season long I said, you ain't catching the Suns out west. It's not happening. The Warriors are just not good enough. And I think we've gotten lulled into this idea that the Warriors are the Warriors because they've got the Warriors jerseys and because they have Draymond and Steph and Clay, Steve Kerr on the sidelines. They look like the Warriors. And at times, they do look great. But they are not the machine that they were in 2015 when they won the World Championship, in 2016 when they won 73 games, and certainly not in 2018 and 2019, 17, 18, and 19 when they had Kevin Durant along for the ride. They are just not that powerful. They're not that machine. So I was watching and thinking to myself last night, if Steph still has the ability to dig into the pocket and pull a game out like that, can that save the Warriors? And can they actually win a title? And the first step would be obviously getting out of this round. But now they're 1 win away with 3 shots to do so. I think we can assume that they're going to get into the Western Conference Finals. The Suns have had a real problem against the Mavericks in these last 2 games. And for whatever reason, the Suns have played sloppy, and the Suns have had none of the explosiveness of the season and the first round of the playoffs and the first 2 games in Phoenix of this series. Chris Paul was rattled. Chris Paul turned the ball over. Paul didn't shoot well. And as Paul went, the team went. I don't know why it was such a haul for him in Dallas. They're going to have to go back there for Game 6. That made me wonder if the Suns are more vulnerable, more mortal, more defeatable than I would have thought going into those 2 games. I mean, let's face it. Through the first 2, Suns looked every bit as good as their regular season. The last 2, not at all. It leaves the Suns vulnerable, and the Warriors still have Steph. And I'm not banking on Clay being Clay. And I'm not banking on offensive production out of Draymond. And Jordan Poole, most nights is going to give you a good night, but not every night can he be 28 points or 31 points or 33 points. So it does come down to Steph. Curry scored or assisted on half of all of the Warriors' points, 50 of the 101. And this is now, can he have one of those legendary runs where a great player can kind of put a team on his back? And I do think that's what the Warriors need out of Steph. Giannis has to do this in Milwaukee. Steph has to do this in Golden State. And last night, we saw Steph do exactly that. We've seen Giannis do that a couple of times already this postseason without Chris Middleton in there until he comes back from injury. 18 points in the fourth quarter from Steph. 18 of the fourth quarter. And that right there is the difference.